Welcome to DentonRadio.com, powered in part by Classic of Denton. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We are coming at you live on DentonRadio.com with a very special treat today. We have the masterminds, the grand poobahs, the purveyors of sunshine, a very long list. It's like when they introduce Rocky or Daenerys or whoever, and they've got all the titles in front of their names. But we have got the people behind the Dime Store talking about the upcoming Handmade Harvest. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
So before we dive in to the Handmade Harvest, which is coming up October 21st, everybody should go to it. There we go. Now but before we go into that, I want to talk a little bit about the Dime Store for those that may not know, if they've been living under a rock or anything like that, or if they're a creative soul that has not been blessed by y'all's establishment yet, and just go a little bit into the Dime Store, and then I want to go into some of the origins and where it came to be and all that good stuff.
Cool.
Shelley, you want to start us off?
Wow. Well, this has been just like the most organic journey that I've ever been on. It just kind of all happened in the last 7 years. And so it started just through the community market, through the Denton community market. That was the first year that it was ever a thing. My husband and I were out there with our little creative business that we had started as empty nesters, and so we were at the community market and just met a lot of other creatives, and it was just a fun group to be around. And when you're a creative and you're constantly feeling like you're living on an island, so you're creating in your own little space, and you're not really, if you don't have a community of creatives, then you start to feel isolated. So at the community market, we started to form community with a lot of other makers, and that was awesome. And when that season was over, we didn't want it to end. So myself and Rachel Autry and a bunch of other makers in Denton, we decided to start basically it was supposed to be kind of like a group of just a community of creatives just supporting each other and being like, you got this, girl. But what it ended up being was, hey, let's do a show together. And so we ended up, I was like, well, where are we going to do a show? And I was like, wow. Everybody's like, well, wow, your barn out there sure is cool. Let's, and I was like, what? So we ended up cleaning out our barn, and we had the very first Etsy Denton show.
Cool.
It was a barn sale was what the first Handmade Harvest was. And so when about 400 people showed up in my neighborhood, we decided, hey, maybe we're onto something, and we should probably move this out of my neighborhood. So it kind of was birthed out of that. So it was really kind of like the Handmade Harvest or the barn sale that really started future Handmade Harvests, and then from there it was like, hey, Denton really loves creative.
Yeah.
They just love makers. They love handmade. We should start a brick and mortar, because I think that Denton would support something like this 365. So myself and Rachel Autry, we founded the store, and that was back in 2013, and here we are almost 5 years later. It's crazy.
So cool.
Crazy journey. And last year Rachel left to pursue another part of her dream and moved to North Carolina, and that left me as the grand poobah or the boss babe. And so I don't know, so it's been really awesome because I've gotten to build a wonderful team around me, and I totally could not do it without these ladies. They really make it all happen. And so we keep the Dime Store running. We keep Handmade Harvest going. And it's just, we work well together. And
Very cool.
Yeah.
So to rewind just a little bit, we were talking about the Dimes, or not the Dimes, the community market, which is a place for people that want to do local wares or local produce or just whatever local projects that are going on, which is a really cool thing everybody should be checking out on Saturday. But the number one thing I've heard at Community Market, because I've always gotten to work with them in some capacity with music, was, man, this is so cool. I'd love to get to do it all year round. I'd love to get to do it every day of the week. I'd love to, all this kind of stuff. And when the dime store came online, I thought, there it is. This is the solution that this community has been crying for. And so it's one, let me just say bravo, which I've never been able to do publicly for you guys, because you guys really created something so cool that everybody cherishes so much. Here at the Discover Denton Welcome Center, people come in and the very first thing they want to know is, where can I find local stuff? Where can I find something that I can't find anywhere else? And the very first place is always the dime store, because you guys have created something so needed around here that I just think is super, super cool. So so Community Market to the dime store, to Community Market to the Handmade Harvest, barn sale, whatever you want to call it, now to this really cool brick and mortar, almost 5 years old, which is super, super cool. Yeah. But the thing to me that really makes the dime store stand out, and I think to a lot of people, is I can go get something from Target, or much love to Target. I can go, whatever, but it may not have a story behind it. You know what I mean? And so the story is what always gets me, because as soon as somebody comes to my house, as soon as I go to somebody else's house and they've gotten something from the dime store, it's like, hey, this is my house. Before we go on the tour, I got to show you about this item, and I got to tell you about this thing, and I've got to tell you the story. But it's just so cool, because that's the part that really I think is so cool. So speaking of individual stories, you guys are makers within the dime store as well, correct?
Yes.
So I'd love to hear some of y'all's individual stories, how you got into what you do, what you create, all that good stuff. So who wants to go first?
I can go.
Yeah. There you go. Love it.
I was just in college, and I was in art school, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't really feel like an artist anymore, and I started taking a fibers class and really loved embroidering, which has kind of made like a comeback with a lot of other crafts and just using, hands and hustle, really. And I remember wanting to make a collection of something for Denton, about Denton. And I don't really know where that came from. Exactly. I think I just thought of it one day, and I was like, I don't know where that would sell, if it's going to sell anywhere. And I just sent Dime an email. I didn't even follow the rules and apply. But they were so gracious and were really into it, which I was very shocked by and still am. And so kind of from there, I made a little collection of work for them that was about Denton. And then it kind of just grew from there, because the community is so inspiring. And, these women and so many other makers, think of, Savannah Kirka is from Savvy Studios, just insanely inspiring. And I just really decided to see what they were doing and really grow my line along with them. And so it's really, really crazy. So now at that point I joined the co-op, and my brand is called Allie Biddle. It's a stationery line, and I have it in the store and everything. And then I was on the co-op, so I was kind of, being more in the store, and I needed work. I had a job in Dallas, but Shelly and Rachel knew I hated that drive, and they were like, let's save you. Let's bring you back home. You don't have to drive so much. And so they kind of made an arrangement for me.
I love that.
Yeah. So Dime is my life in a lot of ways.
Very cool.
Allie does all the jobs.
Awesome.
She does all the jobs. She works at the dime store. She's my studio assistant in my studio.
Wow.
And
I try to be my own boss.
And then she tries to be her own boss. So.
Dig it. So cool. So cool. And by the way, anybody listening at dentonradio.com, we are going, you're probably seeing all of us messing with our phones. It's because we were going, no, I was just doing the same thing. It's because we're going out live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and now Musical.ly. If you'd like to hop over to those platforms, so we're all checking it out and making sure everything's groovy, but we're all paying attention to each other. Anyways, so last night for the first time, I watched La La Land. So I am all jacked on people following their dreams right now.
Amazing. I just watched it.
I went so long without watching it. By the way, last scene just destroyed me. Anyways, so
we'll have to talk about it later.
Yeah. I know. Anybody that would like to, I don't know, send a letter of condolences or anything like that to the bright spot of my life, because that is gone now. Anyways, but you said something I think was really, really interesting. So here you go, living your life. And you said, you know what, I just didn't feel like an artist anymore. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. Well, I was always creative, but I didn't. I think it's. I don't blame anyone for it, but I think, when a lot of people, adults, when they see children or, teenagers being creative and they are like, I don't really want to study business or something, like, which is ironic because I own a business now. Right. But, I think that they're very like, oh, what are you going to do? Like my parents were very, very much wanting me to go to college. And I think we're very concerned about, not that they weren't supportive, but, just very nervous about, like, what are you going to do? And you don't know. They don't really teach you to know anything. And I think I was like, I don't know either. And I think when I just didn't feel confident as an artist because I was like, I really just don't know what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden just kind of found a craft. And I really have gone, like Shelley said, it's been very organic, and just felt, I've always gone with my gut with it. And I always had I had a newfound confidence about it, which I was not a very confident person before that. And so I've kind of just been like, well, I mean, all of this stuff, all of this like thread and embroidery and fibers, it's like all over my apartment. It's like in my oven and in my shower. I found like floss in my oven the other day. Yes, embroidery floss, not like teeth floss. And
I was curious.
Yes, yeah. I don't know how I live my life. But it was like everywhere. And I was like, I think I'm just going to start selling these. And I think I'm just going to open an Etsy shop. And like, I don't know where that came from. I don't know. And I think that's what a lot of makers and small business owners and everything, I feel like just especially in our community, they didn't really intend to, start selling things. They just really liked what they did and were kind of like, maybe I can make a living doing this. And there's nothing more rewarding. Nothing. It's so wonderful to see anybody come into the store, pick something up and be like, I love this. And they take it home and it's, they've literally paid for, by purchasing a card, they literally are buying someone dinner. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I love that. It's my favorite part about the store.
Super, super cool. All right. Who wants to go next?
Oh, I can go next.
Perfect. All right.
Cool. So how I got started, my origin story with Dime is I was working at Central Market at the time in Southlake as the chalkboard artist. And this was in 2013, 2014. And my mom was visiting from El Paso and came in and, she was with me and I said, you know what, you're going to love the Dime store. It's a little store I found while I'm living here. And I took her in and she goes, oh my gosh, this is great. Shauna, you make stuff. You're an artist. You can do something here.
She believed in you.
I know, it's so sweet. But at the time I was like, I do chalkboards. Like, I don't know. I don't make things that people can buy. And luckily, Shelley was working that day. And my mom talked her ear off. Like, you should see Shauna pull up pictures on your phone of what you do. And
I love it.
And Shelley was so sweet and encouraging. And she was like, we need cards. We don't have very many greeting cards at the moment. Do you think you could do something like that? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I think I could. I've been designing greeting cards since I was a kid and just like for mom and dad,
Right.
And so, went home. I actually went to Jupiter House and drew up 10 designs all in a row and got them on my computer and printed them out and brought them back to the Dime store. And she was like, oh, these are great. And so I got into the Dime store and the wheels started turning. I was like, well, cool. This is something that I could make money at doing it myself. And I never thought I'd be my own boss. And that's weird. And
Right. Yeah.
part of it, too, is I had just graduated college here. The student loan debt is real.
Fair.
So I saw those bills and I'm like, okay, so I have to get like a real job, not a grocery store job. And started looking around and I don't know, no one really tells you until you go looking for the comments of other college students of like, man, I put out 100 applications and no one's talked back to me. And oh, okay. So that started happening. But then being at the Dime store and seeing how that's going was super encouraging. And I thought, man, I never thought that I'd start my own business or be my own boss, but I think it could work. I'm going to see where it goes. And so came up with more designs, and now I do stickers and enamel pins and tote bags and
Everything. You do
everything. Just anything I can put an illustration or lettering on, I do it.
And then we've collaborated.
And we've collaborated, and Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So cool.
And you do everything like visual for the store, like all of our chalkboards.
She's our creative manager.
Yes, we decided that's
Man,
my
what
title.
a title. Love that.
Slash purveyor of sunshine.
Yes. Yep.
That's cool. That's really cool. And so what was your story to get to the
Yeah,
dime store?
so I'm a little bit different. I'm actually not a maker. I'm probably the most recent employee brought on with
Okay.
Dime. But I feel like I maybe represent a lot of the people in Denton, or quite a few, of just people who have been on the outskirts and looking into this thing called Dime. My first experience with Dime was really Handmade Harvest, and that was, gosh, maybe 3-4 years ago that I went to my first handmade. And so it was just a really incredible, I mean, because I love Denton. I've been in Denton for 13 years. And so to have the really heart and soul of Denton on display in the way that it is at Handmade Harvest, it was something that was so attractive to me and was like, hey, I love this city. This is my city here. And so, like, yes, downtown, and yes, the square, and yes, UNT and T-Dub, but so much of the common thread of Denton is the creative environment and creative community here. And so to see places like Dime and people like Shelly and Allie and Shauna kind of stand on the forefront and be the example. I mean, because I think the common thread in their stories was, yeah, I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know that I could do this. Well, now how many other makers that are a part of Dime looked in and saw them doing it, not necessarily knowing that they wanted to do it, but are being the example of it. And so for me, I'm not a maker, but I can think creatively and I enjoy creative things. And so for me to get to be and play a part in Dime is really supporting a community that I love and that I'm really inspired by. So getting to sit with these ladies and hear their stories and talk to them about, okay, so you didn't necessarily know that you wanted to do that. Man, that was really brave. Like, just take a step of faith out in that way. And just, it's inspired me in so many different ways. And I'm not a maker. And so just to be a part of the community and a part of the store and to support and to serve and to love on the community that I love so much, for them to invite me in has just really kind of been a dream that I didn't even know I had. And so it doesn't necessarily look like everyone else's role, but I feel like it's something that I'm super inspired by and that I really love. And so the fact that I get to take a step in and do those things and be a part of this is just a really big deal to me. So
Yeah, you
I'm
bring,
living
like,
my dream.
Yeah, you bring such an awesome perspective as like a customer. It's like one that we kind of don't. I mean, of course, we like all shop the store, but you know, it's so cool. It's been really fun so
love
far.
that. How you said it's like a dream you didn't know you had. I feel like that's
Right.
everyone's
So
story
good.
that's like a part of the Dime store. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that I dreamed of doing this, but I did, and now I do, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and even to touch back to what Allie said, because I think we even talked about
Yeah.
how there are some people that will look in on your life and be like, ooh, you can't necessarily make a living doing that. But you know what? This is the living, breathing examples that's not true. Like,
Right.
you can make a living doing this. And there's a supportive community here in Denton to raise up the new or next generation of makers and of creatives.
Yeah,
So cool.
I love like and also just to shop local, support your local community.
Absolutely.
It's so huge. And we're so thankful to all of our customers and like just even people who are like, you know, getting tickets and stuff for this show. It's like, we've been looking forward to it all year. That's so rewarding and so exciting. People are like really stoked about it. That's the best part.
So cool. Well, and y'all's story, I think, is so many people's story here in Denton. We did a focus group years back with the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Discover Denton entity over all of this. And they did this focus group where they asked people, what words do you feel best define Denton? And they got a bunch of stuff back, but the two words that they got above everything else was original and independent. People that had original ideas or independent thinkers, or just people that could kind of walk at their own to their own beat. But this was a place where people could do that. So we've always put it on everything. And you know, and that's
Shout out.
that's what we've always done, right? And so we were at a UNT event. That, you know, they had their 125th anniversary, and they were doing these books, right? That they were giving out to everybody. And, you know, the history of UNT and all this kind of stuff. And we've been talking with all the organizations around town about, you know, common branding, what's the voice of Denton, all that kind of stuff. So we see this book, and on it, it says original and independent. And we thought, hey, everybody's getting on board. We got this. And we turn the book over, and we read the back of it. And this was a quote from the very first UNT president over 125 years ago. I define Denton as original and independent. And
Plot
we
twist.
went,
That just gives me chills.
right, I know, right? We thought we were clever. But it was super, super cool. So this has always kind of been the heartbeat of Denton, is people getting to do their own thing. More importantly, a supportive community that allows people to do their own thing and comes around you to support you in doing that, rather than everybody fall in line doing this thing. Hey, everybody's doing their own thing, and that's what we love so much about it.
Yeah.
And so this just screams Denton so loud, and why I'm so freaking in love with the dime store and things like Handmade Harvest and all this kind of stuff. You guys really, really are champions of the community and what this whole place is and stands for. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit to Handmade Harvest this year. Give us a rundown. What's going to be going on? What should people expect? All that good stuff.
What's going on? Well, it's going to be an awesome day at TW and Hubbard Hall.
Cool.
The most beautiful space. Like
So
Beautiful
great.
historic.
Oh,
Yeah.
the best natural lighting. So
Oh,
selfies,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
product photography.
You're gonna look beautiful.
Yes.
So perfect.
You don't need a filter.
Work that hashtag.
Yes, hashtag DimeHH for all of you listeners.
You know what's so fantastic is that the time that we live in, somebody's listening to this right now, and that's the thing that sold them, is how good
Yes.
the selfies are going to be.
Yes, that's real. We know our demographic.
Hey, no judgment at all, like, because that's for
Yeah.
real. You get to an event and there's terrible lighting, and you're like, how am I going to show this off?
Yeah.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh,
I might as well
yes.
not have come.
How strong will your selfie game be? Well, you should come and find out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It'll be strong. It'll be
Love it.
strong. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. It's just the greatest building. Just
It really
all the
is.
history there, and it's
Well, and the
just,
whole campus. So if you don't spend like the whole 6 hours at the event, you can walk around campus, and there's like this gorgeous greenhouse nearby, and there's
So
this
beautiful.
super cute little chapel in the woods, which hopefully they won't have a wedding, so don't crash it. But like so many great selfie opportunities.
Yeah.
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 Gorgeous
And
campus.
shopping opportunities.
Yes.
Shopping. More importantly,
Selfie
Yeah.
shopping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come for the selfies, stay for the shopping.
Yes.
Exactly.
I like it.
Exactly.
So we're going to have 54 vendors there this year,
Wow.
coming from all over the state. A lot of the folks you see in the dime store, but then a lot more. We've got makers coming from Austin. We've got makers coming from San Antonio,
Wow.
Tyler, Houston,
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Dallas, Fort Worth, coming from all over. So it's exciting. It's so exciting for us when we see these applications come in every year, and we always get way more applications that we could ever approve of. So it's like, it's always hard, but it's so great to be able to curate like the best of the best. So for Denton and beyond, because we really want, we want this to be like a Metroplex wide sort of thing. And we even have some, we have some retail outlets that are coming in to check out people's. So that's cool too. All of our makers are always looking for new wholesale accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
Still
it.
got to make a living.
Yep.
So it'll be a great day. It's also cool because, of course, we had somebody tell us recently, like, no event is really like a true event unless Pan Ector's live printing. And so,
That is so true.
That's fair.
So
That's
true.
fair.
and so we love working with Pan Ector. We have teamed up with them in the last couple years, and they just do such great work. And they've been at several. They were actually supposed to be at the very first barn sale.
Oh, wow.
And then had to cancel at the last minute. And so, but we've had them at several of our events, and they'll be inside live printing, and they'll be live printing. We have an awesome, our design for Handmade Harvest this year was designed by one of Pan Ector's designers, and
Great.
it's beautiful, and then they're going to be live printing that design in one color and some other designs, kind of handmade designs.
Cool.
And then also we're going to have workshops. They're going to be super cool.
Oh, interesting. Tell me a little more about the workshops.
We have them. Wildflower Art Studio is teaching them, and we have, and some of them they're like little mini ones. Are they 30 minutes? I should know.
Yes.
Yes. There's several throughout the day, and then there's and some are like holiday themed. So there's like holiday lettering, and then there's like watercolor, like little like holiday banners, and then there's needle felting, and
That's the one I want to take, but
I know.
I'll be too busy.
I know. Be like, can you like have like a private one for like all?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're so excited about that. Just kind of another activity for people to enjoy.
Really
Yeah.
cool. Really cool. So handmade products, all that good stuff. Any other things they should be looking for? Food, music, anything like that? Which
Yeah.
We, working with TWU,
okay.
you know, they have rules.
Oh, rules.
Rules. I hate rules.
Yeah.
I'm a rule breaker, but
Aren't we all?
yeah. So we normally in the past we've had lots of food vendors, but because of TWU's restrictions, we won't have food on campus. But there is like a coinciding event that'll be happening out on the lawn.
More the merrier.
The more the merrier. What some of the residence halls at TW, they like love Handmade Harvest. They're like, let's
Nice.
jump on this bandwagon.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be having kind of a family-friendly fall festival outside, and they're going to have
great.
what all like caramel apples
Yeah.
and
And like,
All of the good food.
I saw Frito pies. I was like, yay!
Yes.
What a good
Who doesn't
combo.
love a great Frito pie?
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
also like carnival games, and I think they're gonna try to have a DJ outside, and
yeah.
like it seems a
Yeah.
lot more
Nice.
family friendly. So more like, I don't know, if you bring your kids, and you can leave the kids and dad outside, and you go inside and shop.
I love it.
Exactly.
Well, what a good
Exactly.
collab. That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
worked
That's perfect.
awesome.
Yeah.
We're
and
excited.
we're hoping fingers crossed we're on the bandwagon to find coffee for the event. Our main coffee folks that have worked with us, Edison, they're not available because they're doing some awesome coffee event in Dallas. So
wow.
we're gonna reach out. Hello, West Oak.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Dig it.
Shout out.
Shout out to West Oak.
Help a girl out.
Very cool. Very, very cool, guys. Okay, so the 8th annual Handmade Harvest happening October 21st, TW Hubbard Hall. Any other details we need to get out there? Where can they find
Ooh.
more information? Websites or anything like
Website?
that?
Yeah, you can find everything on our website, dimehandmade.com. I was about to mess that up. But then also, the first 50 people in line get a goodie bag.
goodie bags.
And this is like
Ooh.
a goodie bag. Like it's
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Yes, we have like maybe 30 or so vendors are donating small things into the goodie bags, but already we've
Handmade
gotten
things,
these like amazing sterling silver earrings and like these super cute bookmarks and these great little ramekins from Throw Studio, and I'll be donating things, and Shelly will, and Allie will.
It's on our
and-
list.
It's on the list.
Well, we
Yes.
don't know what, but it'll be great.
Yeah. But
Tickets are
Yeah.
Yes,
That's what I was
tickets
gonna
at
say.
that.
Let's talk about
yeah,
tickets.
Yeah.
Tickets are $2 in advance, $5 at the door. You can get tickets online or at the store.
Yeah.
So $2 in advance, $5 at the door.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Why anybody would ever wait till the door? I have no idea. That's great.
It's so
Yeah.
so affordable.
What a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
ticket giveaways going
And
on
ticket
this week.
giveaways.
Whoa.
And next week.
Friday.
All
Friday
right.
and tomorrow. If you pop into the dime store, spend $20, you'll get a couple
Perfect.
tickets.
Tuesday.
Heyo.
What do we call it?
Tuesday twofer.
Tuesday.
Tuesday
Yeah.
twofer. I like that. Tuesday twofer. Dig it. So everybody needs to be at the dime store tomorrow then. All right, everybody. You heard it here first. The Handmade Harvest, October 27th or 21st.
Whoa.
Similar looking numbers.
Yes.
Similar
Yes.
looking numbers. October 21st. TW Hubbard Hall. Make sure you check out all the information with the dime store folks so that you can stay up to date with everything. Go ahead and get your tickets early so you can get that $2 ticket. And if not, $5 at the door. What a deal.
Not
It
bad.
is.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anything else we need to cover before we wrap up, guys?
If you guys are into Instagram, Dime Handmade Harvest is our handle.
Sweet.
Yes.
And
Follow,
lots of-
follow along.
Yeah, follow along. We have makers doing takeovers all this week, so you can get behind the scene sneak peeks.
Awesome.
Fun.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, guys. We'll check it all out. It is coming up fast. October 21st will be here before you know it. Thank you guys very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody, we are going to jump back into the music. If you'd like to come back and check things out via video on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Musical.ly, we will be broadcasting LSA Burgers Open Mic live tonight from 7 to 9. So we will see you then. Thanks again, y'all.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.